Well, it's 5:30, so I'm going to go ahead and call our Finance Committee to order. It's our first one for 2021. Today's date's January 20th, 2021. And the agenda item we have, first off, is Resolution 10, 2020. This is to adopt fiscal policy for discretionary funds of the Common Council, the City of Lawrence. We had started talking about this in December and held it over until this meeting to continue the conversation. I believe there may be a few more of our council members observing us tonight, but Tyrell, I understand, has been delayed just because of family issue and travel, so he won't be attending the meeting tonight. So with that, I was wondering, I know we wanted to put forth a proposal and actually to discuss, but I would maybe put it forward what we're proposing, Tom. And I apologize, I sent out some emails earlier, but I haven't been able to check them in the last hour. What we might want to do, and that way Tyrell has a chance to speak on this. His input was, he did have some interest in this proposal. And maybe scheduling a follow-on meeting right before our first meeting in February to actually vote and discuss on it. But at least get the proposal on the floor that you're bringing forward, the amended version, so we could see that and the other counselors could take a look at it. Is that fine, or what's your thoughts?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I responded to your email. I mean, actually, I proposed this back in November, so we're now on almost a 90-day clock. And I know that, unlike an ordinance where it dies after a certain period of time, I will say that I've had some conversations and went back and forth with some committee members. I did try to make sure that I took into account some of the comments that were made at the last meeting and what we have before. I know there was a couple of versions, and the reason why there was a couple of versions that were going back and forth is I was trying to take into account the feedback from every council member. And so what we have tonight, in my opinion, it satisfies most everyone's, if not all, council or committee members' questions. And so what you have before you is what the amended resolution would be. And my preference, quite frankly, Sean, is I've been looking at this and going at this for quite some time. And rather than delaying this and tabling it, certainly, again, you know, it is what it is. And I tried to capture everyone's concerns and comments. I think this is a pretty generous accommodation, 15% of the request. And so if an entity comes before this council, and I believe the amount that we have in this year's budget is $250,000. So if someone comes before this council, rather than it being limited, I think initially it was 2,500, and then I moved it to 5,000, and then there was a suggestion is why don't we do as a percentage? I thought that was a great suggestion, and the suggestion was 15%. So that entity would be able to request up to about $35,000, but certainly the spirit of this, quite frankly, is to be more in line with making sure every council member has some access to funds to be able to do things in their district. And if we go back 2 years, when this was talked about, when Lisa and I kind of floated this by the controller to put this in the budget, the idea, the spirit of it was to provide funds for projects or things that benefited the community. And the gateway sign would be a great example of that we all were in consensus that was a great idea and it would reflect the city well. So all that to be said, Sean, the blue line version here is what's there. You know, depends on, you know, what the committee members want to do with this. But this I thought was a very generous accommodation, and I think it met everyone's concerns over the last 30 days.
Okay. No, thank you, Tom, for
Yeah.
posing that. If we're wanting to, I'm not sure that without hearing directly from Tyrell and opening it up a little bit more, that we would hear all of those concerns and what ideas are there. I think it would be best if we could hold on to it till February. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. Are we running into that deadline? Could we hold it till February and not have to worry about it expiring?
Yeah, that expiration is in the council, 60-day expiration is in the council rules, I believe, for resolutions. And so I'm sorry, for ordinances or proposed ordinances. And so it doesn't die automatically. It could carry over. And I also wanted to let you know, Mr. Chair, I pulled up the different versions because I know Councilor Whitfield hasn't seen it, and I wasn't sure if people were working today and doing other things, if they had seen it, but it looks like the share screen is disabled. So if you want me to do that, we'd have to get somebody to unlock that feature if you want to discuss it in a means so everyone can see it. I'm happy to do that.
And that might be another reason to hold on to it until that meeting, so that all of our counselors can actually take a peek at it and have it before them when we discuss it as a finance committee, and then move it on to the actual full common council.
And it looks like he did chat, or the admin chatted, they unlocked it. So
okay.
Thank you for that, if you do want me to do.
So Tom, would you be willing to put it out and then have it in the committee, and then we come back to discuss for debate in February? I think that would be the way I'd like to do it. Or we can just hold it and reschedule a meeting. Because right now, all I have is the original proposal. I'm asking, do you want to put your amendment on the table, or not table it, but do you want to bring your amended version forward so that we can distribute it out? Or do you want us to just keep the one that was proposed in the full council unamended for right now for the February meeting?
Well, what I guess I'm a traditionalist. What I want to do is to be able to use what is before this committee as the amended version, and then it goes to full council, and there would be an opportunity for them to view. I mean, this is typically how we do this: is you go to committee, the committee discusses it, the committee then either passes it or they say, we'll submit it to the full council, but it doesn't have, full support of the finance committee. I've just been dealing with this now for quite some time, Sean.
Yeah.
And I mean, the body of the resolution hasn't really changed. The only thing that I've changed has been the amount of funds that would be allocated to anybody that would come before this council, or anybody that would ask any council member to support a certain project. And so that's been the only thing that has changed, other than if you just look at the blue line version, 15% of the available balance of the council discretionary fund funding of municipal projects from the council fund shall be limited only by the balance of the fund, and any entity can only come before the council one time, once a year. So that part hasn't changed. The only part that's really changed has been the amount.
And that's what I'm getting at. The rest of the council hasn't really seen that. And Tyrell being out where he not able to check his email today, our other fourth member wouldn't have been able to check it either to see what those changes are. I just kind of felt everybody should have an informed view of it before we take a vote and look at it further. And the idea then there's nothing before the council that would be affected, one way or the other that I'm aware of. And Lisa, you could correct me if I'm wrong, or Kathy, that I'm aware of that voting on it tonight or February, one way or the other, would be affected by delaying this till February.
That's fine.
Okay. So, Chris, if we could distribute then the Toms to the full council.
Sure.
And then, do we have any other business then that wanted to be brought up tonight? Lisa, you're muted. I think I see you
Oh,
talking.
wait,
but
I think
yeah.
Kathy's talking too.
And Kathy's talking too.
Were you wanting me to schedule a finance meeting for 5:30 before the 6:30 in February then?
Yes, please, Kathy.
Okay.
The only thing I was going to mention is we will have coming before us, and I'm going to ask Chris to circulate that after this meeting. We need to vote on a new contract for this year for legal services. We need to do that pretty quickly. So, Chris, if you, after this meeting, can go ahead and get that sent out, that will be placed on the February agenda. So I just wanted to give everyone a heads up that she is going to go ahead and send that out. We usually try to vote on that in January. So I think as long as we hit it the 1st of February, we'll be okay. We don't want to be operating without a contract any longer than we need to.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Lisa. I'll do that.
Thank you, Councilor Chavis. And you reminded me, we had named it a few months ago, but I'm not sure if anyone from administration is listening, but if they could send over any contracts they anticipate being over 25,000 for our approval, I'd appreciate being able to take a look at that in our February meeting as well. The only two I can think of, maybe their legal services and the economic development director. But any others, we may want to take a look at those. Any other business that anyone would like to discuss? Councilor Whitfield, as a citizen here tonight, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. All right. With that, meeting adjourned. Thank you.